The Niagara Falls are located on the border of Ontario Province, Canada, and New York State, USA. The water flows from the Great Lakes, the world's largest surface freshwater system, all the way down to the Atlantic Ocean. See one of the world's most awe-inspiring displays of the power of nature from the sky, from the foaming river below, or even from within arm's reach. The Niagara River connects Lake Erie with Lake Ontario, but before it gets there, the water plunges down almost 170 feet in a straight drop. The volume of water that comes tumbling over the crest is overwhelming. Almost 170,000 cubic meters of water, that's 6 million cubic feet, thunders over these combined falls each minute during the fall's peak hours. Most people don't realize this until they get there, but there are actually 3 waterfalls. East are the American Falls and the narrow Bridal Veil Falls. Then you've got Goat Island, and to the west is the impressive Canadian Horseshoe Falls, the widest and most powerful of them all. Glide over the river or explore the many other vantage points to see the water plummet into the depths below. The resulting plume of mist is visible from miles away. To feel its spray, board the Maid of the Mist. The first wooden steamboat took people to the falls as early as the mid-1800s, and while the maids are now made out of steel, the excitement during this half-hour cruise has changed little since. If you want to get as close to the curtain of water as you can, embark on a journey behind the falls and see and hear the water rush past right in front of you. Below the falls, the foaming water mass squeezes its way through a narrow gorge, creating the Whirlpool Rapids, which you can get to aboard a jet raft. Aside from nature, there is also plenty of family entertainment to be had under neon lights. Take the kids to visit the Niagara Skywheel and nearby themed attractions and arcades. Cross the Rainbow Bridge to the American side to see the Aquarium of Niagara in a serene environment, or stay on the Canadian side and enjoy the Niagara Park's Botanical Gardens. Niagara-on-the-Lake is only a short drive away. Visit this pretty 19th century village to browse boutique shops, play golf, or have lunch before you set out to explore Ontario's wine country. A shuttle bus or taxi can drop you back at the falls in no time. Scale the Skylon Tower to admire this glorious landscape once more. Less than a 2-hour drive from Toronto and only a taxi ride away from Buffalo Airport, getting to Niagara is easy. Their accessibility and splendor make the Niagara Falls one of the most photographed natural spectacles in the world. But of course, no picture can capture the thrill you feel and the roar you hear when you witness Niagara's astonishing power. An impression that will last a lifetime.
San Francisco is a spectacular, fun city on the central coast of California, about 350 miles from LA. It's bursting with a youthful energy that will guarantee you have an amazing and unforgettable adventure. On the northern end of the San Francisco Peninsula, the city invites you to explore hip neighborhoods, elegant buildings, beautiful parks and gardens, and enjoy a liberal, relaxed atmosphere. And there's no end of things to see. Union Square, in the heart of downtown, is San Francisco's finest shopping region. The neighborhood is famous for wide streets, clanging cable cars, and some amazing shopping. And don't forget about the square itself, which is a great place to sit back, relax, and do some serious people watching. Just a few minutes north, San Francisco's Chinatown is 8 blocks of bustling activity with storefronts and alleyways selling all manner of strange and exotic goods. One of the largest Chinese communities in the U.S., San Francisco's Chinatown is filled with exotic sights and sounds and a little bit of Eastern mystique. Less than a mile to the east, the Embarcadero is a busy waterfront roadway that runs right around the port area with some of San Francisco's most famous landmarks, including Market Street, the Bay Bridge, and the San Francisco Ferry Building. Fisherman's Wharf is at the northern end of the Embarcadero and has a great assortment of shops, bars, and restaurants, and is right on the bay. Here you can grab a relaxed meal and a cool drink and be entertained by colorful street performers or just enjoy the views along the waterfront. A short stroll away is Pier 39, which has some of the best views of San Francisco Bay and a resident sea lion community that has been basking in the sun at the pier for more than 20 years. The island fortress of Alcatraz sits ominously in the bay and is now a popular attraction, with tours departing from Fisherman's Wharf several times a day. Up until 1963, the Rock was home to America's hardest prisoners, but where there was once only concrete, steel, and barbed wire, there are now gardens and wildflowers. If you listen carefully, the eerie passages and cramped cells still echo with footsteps from the past. Not far from downtown is the Haight-Ashbury district, where Victorian-style buildings echo with memories of the hippie days of the 60s. There are still many pockets of counterculture where the summer of love lives on, and cafes, smoke shops, and music stores still sell peace and love. Halfway between Fisherman's Wharf and the Golden Gate Bridge is the Palace of Fine Arts. A survivor from the 1915 Panama Pacific Expo and built in the Beaux Arts style, it's covered in greenery and surrounded by a peaceful lagoon. It's a perfect place for a quiet afternoon stroll. At more than 1,000 acres, Golden Gate Park stretches almost halfway across the peninsula and contains the Conservatory of Flowers and the tranquil Japanese tea garden. The park is the perfect place to enjoy the outdoors or just relax and recharge in some peaceful surroundings. The Golden Gate Bridge sits majestically over the mouth of the bay and invites millions of visitors to the city each year. Almost 2 miles long and 750 feet high, the Golden Gate Bridge connects San Francisco to the nearby Marin headlands. The pedestrian walkway spanning the length of the bridge is a superb way to see sweeping views across the bay and out over the Pacific Ocean. Baker Beach is located just to the west of the Golden Gate Bridge and has spectacular views across the mouth of the bay to the distant Marin headlands. It enjoys a reputation as San Francisco's best sandy beach, but the views alone are worth the trip. Just north of San Francisco in Marin County, the ancient redwoods of Muir Woods National Monument tower up to 260 feet high, with some dating back almost 800 years. Local rangers can provide guided tours along pathways that loop through the forest, or visitors can enjoy the hushed sounds of nature and explore one of America's natural treasures at their own pace. On the eastern side of Marin County is the charming bayside hamlet of Sausalito. In its early days, it was a small artist colony, but now it's a relaxed bayside community filled with cafes and art galleries. A short stroll down any street will bring you to some of the most beautiful views across the bay. And over there, in the distance, beckoning like a siren song, is dazzling San Francisco, tempting you back for another taste. A temptation you'll find hard to resist.
Seattle is about 100 miles south of the Canadian border on the west coast of the United States. It is a lush, evergreen city lying between Puget Sound and Lake Washington, with abundant parklands and surrounded by towering mountains and forests. Widely known for its overcast weather, when the sun does come out, the spectacular beauty of the waterways, forests, and distant mountains combine to make Seattle one of the most stunning cities in the U.S. Classic architecture, leafy public squares, and wide, breezy streets make exploring downtown Seattle a fun experience. For great views of the city, visit the observation deck on the 35th floor of Smith Tower, or see some of Seattle's oldest buildings in nearby Pioneer Square. A distinctive feature of downtown is the Seattle waterfront, which is famous for eateries and seafood restaurants, as well as being a launching point for pleasure craft cruising the Sound. Ferries depart regularly, so jump aboard to get a unique view of the city. Container ships and cruise liners also share these waterways, and the busy harbor is a constant reminder of Seattle's maritime heritage. Alki Beach in West Seattle is a great spot to enjoy the warmer weather. On sunny days, many locals enjoy the miles of shorefront beaches, relaxed parklands, and spectacular views of Puget Sound and the Olympic Mountains. Back in downtown, it's just a short but steep climb from the waterfront to the lively Pike Place Market. Here you can sample some of the freshest catches from the waters of the Pacific Northwest, and also chat to local producers who harvest and sell the goods on display. The market has many bars and eateries, stalls and souvenir shops, as well as America's first Starbucks store. Wherever you go in Seattle, you're never far from the water. Puget Sound is to the west, Lake Washington is to the east, and to the north is Lake Union, whose eye-catching floating homes were made famous in the movie Sleepless in Seattle. Further to the north, the popular Woodland Park Zoo is home to more than 1,000 animals and birds in habitats ranging from the African savanna to tropical forests. Located at Boeing Field, about 15 minutes drive from downtown, is the Seattle Museum of Flight. This amazing museum displays air and spacecraft from the earliest Wright brothers flyer to modern jets. For the most famous views of Seattle, head over to Cary Park on the south side of Queen Anne Hill. The park is not far from the Seattle Center, so it's the perfect spot to see the famous Space Needle in all its glory, especially when the sun goes down. The city has been home to many world-famous bands, and there's no shortage of live music in Seattle, as well as bars and nightclubs partying well into the early hours. The Seattle Center is home to the Pacific Science Center and the popular International Fountain, as well as Seattle's most recognized landmark, the Space Needle. From the 520-foot-high observation deck, you'll have superb views of the city, and if the weather is clear, you can see all the way out to Mount Rainier. On a clear day, the snow-covered peak dominates the Seattle skyline, and it can be seen from all parts of the city. The Mount Rainier National Park has hundreds of miles of hiking trails that lead through a variety of different landscapes. The ancient Grove of Patriarchs is home to giants up to 1,000 years old, and the raised boardwalk makes it one of the easiest walks in the park. If you don't feel like walking, there are several scenic drives, including one that encircles the mountain itself. Mount Rainier is not the only natural wonder close by, and Olympic National Park is just a few hours' drive west of the city. Here, the hauntingly beautiful Hoh Rainforest is like entering another world, where moss and lichens grow on every surface. Further to the west, Ruby Beach is possibly Washington State's most scenic beach, with rocky sea stacks just off the coast and a shore strewn with driftwood. One of North America's most beautiful cities, Seattle has a perpetually optimistic outlook. Whether you're exploring the countryside or in the heart of downtown, What makes Seattle so special is the incredible variety of experiences you'll find in the Emerald City.